If you're thinking about learning Spanish or you're currently struggling with it, this video will help you to feel more comfortable in your language learning journey. The very first thing you should do before even learning anything is to work out your motivations for wanting to learn Spanish. Because let's be honest, sticking to a new habit can be hard even when we are motivated, so if you go into this without that motivation figured out, you stand no chance. It might be one thing, or you might have lots of reasons you want to learn it. It's a personal thing, but common reasons people want to learn a new language is to meet with new friends, communicate with family members or other relationships in their native language, be able to get by when traveling, open up more work opportunities, but there are endless reasons why you might want to learn a language. Don't rush this step, it will be what drives you to keep going through this process. Now that you know why you're doing this, it's a good idea to create a study plan. This will be unique to you based on time commitments and motivation. But you can decide now how long to spend learning each day. This doesn't mean saying you'll sit being bored studying for an hour. Keep it interesting and portion it out so that you study new vocabulary for a set time, then watch some of your favorite Spanish YouTubers, or watch a Spanish TV series. Variety will help to maintain your attention span. Keep in mind that what you put in your study plan shouldn't be all you do. To take Spanish very seriously, you should make it part of your life. If you're out in public, take notice of your surroundings and think of what everything is called in Spanish. If this is too easy for you, start describing what you're seeing as you walk. This is good because you'll start to familiarize these words and phrases with actual images of your very own surroundings, and this will stick a lot better in your head. And when they stick in your head, you'll be able to retrieve them in conversation a lot faster, so your conversations will flow instead of being broken while you try and translate it all in your head. Another important thing to mention before you get too far into your language learning journey is to take enough time at the start to learn pronunciation. If you start learning words and cementing them in your head, but then weeks later you realize you have been pronouncing it wrongly, it can sometimes be hard to correct. So learning how each letter sounds is crucial. With Spanish, you also need to pay special attention to the tildes, as these have an effect on which part of the word should be emphasized. Saying the words properly will help native speakers to understand you, and when they do, that is always a big boost for your confidence and motivation. After learning pronunciation, you sound great speaking Spanish. But you don't know many words to use in your conversations. A common mistake is that people use language learning apps which teach them all these random words that they'll never actually use. And if you don't use them, they won't end up sticking in your head. So you end up learning so many words that quickly leave your memory, and you feel like you haven't progressed when it really isn't your fault. This is where you should take it into your own hands and start by learning specific vocabulary that you know you use in your day-to-day life. Write down a list of words based on your hobbies, your work, your favorite food, and anything else you can think of. You can then work on translating these and actually using them when you encounter them in your day. As you get better and better with Spanish, you can start to expand your vocabulary to these other words that you'll use less. I mentioned that you should make Spanish a part of your life. Turn it into a habit. One great way of doing this is with immersion. How can you immerse yourself in the Spanish language? Watch or read Spanish news. Listen to Spanish music. Watch Spanish movies and TV shows. Change your phone's language to Spanish. You don't have to completely change your routine for Spanish. Instead, just bring Spanish into the things you already do in your native language. Another way to help you progress is by speaking to real native Spanish speakers. Maybe you already know some, or you can join gaming servers that are Spanish, or use the countless apps out there like Tandem so you can meet people who live in the countries which speak your target language. As well as being really fun, it's also useful because you could learn a new word on the internet, and when you use it with a native speaker in the country you want to travel to, for example, they might point out that they never used that word there. Danish is spoken in so many countries and each have their own special twist on the language, just like with English between the USA and the UK. They'll also point out errors where you may have translated something perfectly word for word, but it doesn't actually make sense in Spanish. This is another common mistake, but it's important to remember that there isn't always a perfect translation. Every language has different rules and these can't always be compared. Just like how the rules of football are completely different to tennis. The same is true for English and Spanish. In the end, your Spanish greatly improves, and you have a lot of amazing new friends all across the world. So to summarize, before anything else you should work out why you want to learn. Learning Spanish is a long and tough journey, but such a rewarding one. Identify what your personal reason is that will keep you going through everything. Take time to learn how each letter is pronounced and some rules such as tildes so you know how to say words properly. This means you won't have to relearn the pronunciation of words a second time like if you skipped this step originally. Create a basic study plan that you can stick to, but also remember that as well as studying, you should try to bring Spanish into your everyday life. Immerse yourself with music and games and native Spanish friends. Try to think in Spanish whenever you can, like when you're out in public. Take that time when you're not doing anything else to instead learn new vocabulary and phrases. As you improve more and more, you'll be able to immerse yourself in other ways which are more advanced, or maybe you'll travel to a country which speaks the language and you'll be surprised with how much you have actually learned just by how well you can communicate with people. But for now, hopefully this video helped you get past any doubt about starting your Spanish learning journey or helped you get past some of those first hurdles you were struggling with. If you liked this video and want more Spanish learning content, subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any of our future videos. See you next time.